Hello. Hello. Anyone around here speak basketball?
Taking Bobby Webster.
This is Adam Silver.
Trust in Masai. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who, sir, looking snazzy, are you?
I'm the producer, Matt Duncan. Freddie, thanks. I'm wearing a ultra wrinkled summer shirt. Yeah,
It
you can
looks,
get away with it though a little bit when it's summery, right?
For sure. Yeah, you're looking sexy as hell.
My wife was like, "You need to steam that." I'm like, "Never."
Steam what? No, it looks great on camera. It's like too many lines, so it looks a little bit blurry.
Yeah, not camera friendly.
Hey, you're camera friendly. And if you've tuned into this podcast for the first time or you're back, thank you regardless. We are a hardcore Raptors / NBA pod. We got analysts, comedians, all sorts of personalities, but more so just basketball nuts. So thank you for joining. And, if you want to help us out or contribute to our whatever growth, how can they do that, Maddie?
Well, if you're watching us on the Raptors Republic YouTube, thank you. And please like and subscribe. That is important for us. Leave some comments. Freddie will get back to you.
Hell yeah.
And, for everything else, go to raptorsrepublic.com. You can go to our website, dunkspodcast.com. You can listen to the episodes there if you want to listen to the full, podcast version. So, yeah, just thanks for supporting and keep hitting those buttons.
God damn it, right. I think, before we start, I will just say free Brittany Griner. If you're unfamiliar with the situation, get familiar and be loud about it. It's a horribly tragic scenario for one of the best athletes in the world. And I think with that, let's dive right into Raptors talk. Matty, good sir, I know you're there. I know you got some sting queued up. Maybe it's a weird celebrity. Maybe it's something new. Who knows? This is episode 250, by the way. So a fun milestone for us. But good sir, please give me your most delicious Raptors sting.
For the win!
We're smooth around here, people. Also, shout out the. Oh yeah. Wow, that a lot of delayed sound. Like this is really a cacophony of events. I feel like early in this pod, things are just happening at their own pace. It's just nice, smooth podcasting. Shout out Dak Shepard, we're coming for you. But I'm also just going to quickly shout out the Raptors. It was the 3-year anniversary of the Raptors championship. So listen, we're going to keep celebrating. Hopefully we're not like all old people and remembering 2019. Maybe we'll get some other memories. But let me go to you first, Adam. And this is sort of like a classic convoluted Freddie question, but I've been wrestling with this idea for years now. So I feel like there's different types of basketball fans. There's people who like rumors, and there's people who care about the on-court stuff. There's transaction fans. I'm framing this as transaction fans, people who love trade signings. They just love the rumors. And they like to, think about team building in that way. And then there's also chemistry fans, people who enjoy like development and kind of this like slow burn. And, there's not one right answer, but what camp do you find yourself in the most as a fan? Do you like watching people develop together? Are you sort of like, great, we had this guy for one season, now flip him for him, and hopefully we can flip that guy for another guy? Like, which camp are, if you had to pick one, which one are you in?
I feel like I'm a transaction fan, Freddie.
Yeah,
I
man.
love a rumor. I love seeing Stephen A. Smith yell at somebody because of a recent trade. I love that 3 years ago, was it 3 years ago yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes,
June
we
30th.
won
3 years ago
championship.
yesterday, the Raptors won the NBA championship, and then the next day, Anthony Davis was traded to the Lakers, and us winning the championship wasn't the biggest story in the NBA. It was that Anthony Davis was going to be a Laker, and I love that. So I'm a transaction man. Put me down for transaction. Specifically mid-season waiver 10-day pickups. That's my
Yeah, that's your big Shamori Pons guy.
Yeah, whenever I play NBA 2K, I'm like, don't GM assist me on that. I will be filling out the roster on the day-to-day thing.
Oh wow, I like it, detail oriented. You know what? I appreciate your honesty. I feel like there's no denying that it's exciting, and shortly after that Anthony Davis trade, it was all about let's find Kawhi. Is he at the Cactus Club? What's going on? Let's chase him with a plane.
Cactus Club.
You know what I mean? It was all about like, hey, where's this guy going? Where's Uncle Dennis? Where's Danny Green?
Yeah, remember all the Tim Radnett likes to say aunt rumors? Like everyone has one rich aunt who lives by the bridle path who knew some sort of family dynamic that Kawhi Leonard was going through.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, I heard Kawhi's nanny got renewed for another year, so he's coming back.
I heard a ton of that. I also heard of like, hey, he grabbed boxes from a Home Hardware, so this guy's out of town.
Yeah, or like Kawhi's wife just bought a Dyson, she's staying.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's true. Like I feel like the rumors got insane, and then that's where I don't know if this is like an actual term, but the I want to say like Canadian inferiority complex just kicked in, where we were just like, please love us. And then, everyone's aunt, everyone's uncle, everyone's real estate agent had some inside information.
Everyone's Poutini's House of Poutine will give you free poutine whenever you go there. The green room will give you a free pad thai. Remember those green room Kawhi eats for free? All of these restaurants that Kawhi would never eat at.
Yeah. Kawhi and Dine, please come to the Purple Onion in the Junction. We have some hot dogs and gravy for you. Not a real item, but okay, Kris, where are you at with this? Like, are you do you consider yourself a transaction fan more so, or do you like the kind of like slow build chemistry stuff?
See, I have an appreciation for both. I would categorize myself as somewhere in the middle. Whereas I love trade rumors and I love trade deadline day. I turn Woj and Shams tweets alerts on my phone at certain times of the year, and it usually has to do with trade rumors. But I'm also in the camp that feels that people get almost too excited about trade rumors, a little too heated about it. Whereas I always take sort of like a Zen approach to whatever will be. So if we get a cool trade, that's great. If we're quiet at the trade deadline, I'm also totally fine with it. I remember last year around the Tampa Bay season trade deadline, everyone was like losing their minds and like writing soliloquies and epic poems about Kyle Lowry's legacy, fearing that he was going to be traded to Philly or the Lakers or Miami at that point. And I was the only person of like maybe 2 or 3 people on all of Raptors Twitter who was like, no, he's not getting traded today because he's not getting traded. I stood firm on that. I like locked that in. I believed in myself. I bet on myself on that, and he was not traded that day. And it was just a feeling. It's like, no, it's going to be something different at the trade deadline because I knew that people were going to try to undervalue for Kyle because the Raptors were doing poorly at the trade deadline at the time. So I think a lot of other GMs could kind of figure, oh, maybe we could swindle Masai, not realizing that, Masai Ujiri is the literal king of Toronto, and you can't pull the wool over that man's eyes. So of course, he wasn't going to pull the trigger on Kyle unless he got something really good for him in return. Because not even like as a skill set thing, not that Kyle Lowry doesn't have a very particular set of skills that can be valuable to any team that's trying to contend. Usually, at least at the time. But there was a legacy involved as well, because you're not just trading away a player. You're trading away a cornerstone of your franchise. You know, it was like getting rid of Kyle Lowry was like the end of an era for us. It's sort of like, and I think that, you know, money and such aside, you know, I think Masai is going to be the kind of guy who honors that. So I think a lot of people can get really tied up in the trade stuff and the trade rumors without really listening to what the team is saying or really paying attention to what they're putting out there. So I mean, I'm definitely someone who is very much a trust in Masai vision dude. So it's like,
me too.
Yeah, so it's like I can be a chemistry fan or I can be a transaction fan. Like I can definitely be both, but my instinct is always to sort of listen to Masai first in regards to any sort of direction of the team, and kind of going along with whatever he feels, because he hasn't really steered us wrong yet, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I'm with you all the way, and I do feel like, you know, obviously, yeah, it's a question that's like asking you to kind of choose a side, but both are effective, and you know, I was with you. I was one of the people who was convinced that he was not being traded. I think it would have been a traumatic and bad mistake, especially in that awful Tampa year. We would have gotten, you know, not Precious for him.
Yeah.
And I think that yeah, Masai, you know, you don't really like put him over a barrel. And I think for me, one of the main reasons I didn't see him getting traded at the deadline was because the people in charge of, like, you know, facilitating this deal, like, you know, Masai was never going to send Kyle to OKC, right? So I think he wanted to make sure he got paid. And you're talking Pat Riley and Masai Ujiri and Daryl Morey having to negotiate, and that's just like no one's going to move there. They were all stuck, and the Lakers offer never seemed serious as well. So, but yeah, you know, I think we've seen a bunch of both in this Masai era, like, you know, the Terrence Ross for Ibaka trade, the acquisition of PJ Tucker, and, you know, obviously the Gasol and Kawhi trades. So, you know, there's blockbusters as well, but I do think there's sort of like this I'm trying to trust a Masai guy, you know, like I think he builds up to these trades as it pertains to the Raptors. But you know, I think good points all around, because I feel like transactions are really exciting, especially when even the Norm Gary Trent thing in that year was exciting, right? It's like I think people want to stick the landing with transaction news, right? Whereas if it's chemistry, it's kind of like, it's a little, I don't want to say more boring, but I think people don't enjoy talking about how OG and Scotty might grow together to be this like awesome force in the NBA. They'd rather say, well, it looks like Scotty might be better than OG long term, so let's trade OG for any player that we think hypothetically fits. So I think it's more, transactions are more like accessible, I feel like, for the average fan. Adam, let's go to you first. This was a fun one. I hopefully didn't send you, you know, both digging too much. Hopefully something came to mind. But yeah, we saw, you know, Maple Jordan, Wiggins. He's been playing pretty good all playoffs, and we've touched on it on the podcast too. I think the Golden State culture is great. You see guys like Otto Porter doing well, and you know, Gary Payton II and Poole. Like, they just, you know, it's a Kumbaya Kerr. Steve Kerr brings out the best in people, and yeah, I think they're, you know, doing a good job. And Wiggins looks like he's thriving and getting to be his best self. Shout out Thornhill. But yeah, we're like, I wanted you both to think of a a player that you wouldn't expect that had a massive playoff game and sort of has their own game. So who's another player that comes to mind, Adam, that had like the Wiggins game or the Zantabac game?
Well, first of all, Freddie, I'd just like to shout out Nick Stauskas, another Southern Ontario basketball player, for playing 1 minute in the garbage time yesterday. I think a lot of people are going to overlook. I think he had maybe a turnover, but good on him.
Sauce Castillo, great nickname.
Is that what they call him?
One time they spelled his name wrong, and it was spelled Sauce Castillo. So those are my favorite nicknames, the ones that make absolutely no sense, and they're just based off an error. But yeah, Sauce Castillo.
But the game that comes to mind is Terrence Mann's 39-point blowout against the Memphis Grizzlies in Game 6 last year in last year's playoffs. Huge comeback, put the team on his back, and it was so good that I drafted him very early in a fantasy basketball league, thinking that he would return something like 5th round value, and I'm proud to say that he returned about 11th round value. So good on Terrence Mann, a great basketball player, still young. He's got it. Terrence Mann. That's a wonderful answer.
Yeah, shout out Terrence Mann. He definitely seemed like he was like, that seemed like an ascension game. But I think as you sort of highlighted with your drafting, it was not exactly an ascension game, but he definitely still looks good. Like I feel Maxey did that a couple times. I feel like in this Philly series, where it's sort of like, is this guy amazing, or is this just sort of like a good
situation? I feel like Maxey is it Terrence Maxey?
Tyrese Maxey.
I'm in Terrence land. Yeah, Maxey looked like an all-star this. Maxey's the reason why we got beat so handedly. I mean, a double gentleman sweep, but Maxey looked like an all-star in that series.
Maxey was amazing, and I think that we didn't really have any guards that could stick with him, especially with Fred being hurt, and he torched us. He was like, Fred's hurt, and Gary Trent Jr. is sick. Let's go.
Yeah. When your game plan is like, we're going to make them beat us with Tobias Harris and Terrence Maxey, and they're like, cheers, I'm going to score 35 points every game now.
Yeah. I love when a game plan totally blows up in your face. As a Raptor fan, I feel like we're familiar with that. Okay. Oh, sorry. Somebody has something?
No.
Oh, listen. Okay. Give me that Raptor sting, Maddie. Okay. Kris. Yeah. Who's your, kind of like burst out player?
Oh, I have such a homer answer, and you're going to love it and hate it. Fred VanVleet in Game 4 of the NBA Finals in 2019. It's the one where he lost his tooth and had that photo of him with the blood running down his eye. That was a big game for him. And I'm very sure that was the game that got that one lone Finals MVP vote from Hubie Brown for Fred VanVleet. That's the first game that popped in my head when I read that question, because yesterday was the anniversary of the championship win, and my brain went there instantly because that was a great time for me. And yeah, that's the one. The tooth, the Freddie VanVleet tooth game. That's my pick.
Was that the only other Finals MVP vote?
Yes.
That wasn't given to Kawhi? Wow.
That's right.
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah, and Hubie Brown was just like, I mean, I think there is an argument, but it's we've talked about this a lot. I mean, not recently on the pod, but the Finals MVP narrative is one of the weirder ones, because it's like someone can carry a team. Like, I remember that when Tony Parker won against the Cleveland Cavaliers, it was like, this is so weird because Duncan obviously carried the team, and then Tony Parker just lit up the opposing point guard, Boobie Gibson, on the Cavs, and it was like, well, Tony Parker's the Finals MVP, and he's like, it was kind of like, but aren't we supposed to honor the best player on the other team? Obviously, the Iguodala one's pretty famous. Even the discussion around Steph now is sort of like, is this real? Like, are you not going to respect Steph unless he wins this? Because he should have, if it didn't go to LeBron, like, he should have won it for the Warriors. But my pick for this question, I feel like I have two. Because I made a backup. The first one, he got 8 points in this game, but he also has a very, very famous play It is the Mike Miller shoe game. So in game 6, the Heat had an improbable comeback against the Spurs and won 103-100. And Mike Miller lost his shoe and hit a 3 with one shoe. His stat was very pedestrian. I think it was 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 points in just under 30 minutes. But a very memorable moment. And my backup was none other than Goran Dragic against the Spurs as well. He kind of had a coming out party, scored. He had a crazy stat line. I just had it here a second ago. Goran Dragic at 26 points, 5 for 5 from 3, 10 for 13 from the field, and just was lighting up the Spurs. He was the backup to Steve Nash. Really stacked team if you look at it too. But Goran Dragic kind of had a coming out party, and went on to do big things and not play many games for Toronto. But who's counting? Who's remembering? What he did for Toronto. But
he's old. He can't play basketball anymore.
Yeah, listen.
He had his day in the sun. He was great.
He was great. Yeah, he's one of the oldest. He's one of the only players in the NBA older than me. So I think there's like 6 at this point. It's like 6 or 7 players. I'm 36 now, 1986. And that day will come soon enough for me where there is not a single player in the NBA that's older than me.
You know what's crazy that I was looking up the other day is that, did you know Chris Boucher is the 3rd oldest Raptor?
He is, yeah.
Isn't that insane?
It's him, Birch, and Thaddeus Young now is like 4 years older than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, our team, I think Masai kind of said this in a press conference, but I think we would be the youngest team in the NBA if not for Thaddeus Young.
Right.
So there's something like that, some age average thing. I think we were the youngest team in the playoffs.
Listen to full episodes of the Confederacy of Dunks only on the Rapcast.